Chemistry, Paper 1, Quantitative Chemistry, Amount of substances in equations. For this topic, ideal to have a calculator and possibly a periodic table. However, sometimes the information provided will be on the questions. Also for this topic, it's important to have the knowledge of the equation mass equals Mr. Moles. And also important that you can rearrange this equation to give moles and to give MR. Okay? Maybe you could pause and attempt to try that right now. Here's a worked example for you. It is important to note that we are calculating the mass of chlorine needed to react with 0.175 grams of gold, and we've got to give that answer in milligrams. Let's attempt this question. What steps would you take? Remember that this is for 5 marks. Always important for this question to keep referring back to the information provided. We're looking at calculating the mass of chlorine when reacted with 0.175 grams of gold. The answer must be given in milligrams and relative atomic masses have been given. So step 1 would be working out the moles of the substance you've been given the mass of, which is the gold. Using the equation moles equals mass divided by MR. Step 2 would be working out the mole ratio and the moles of the substance you need to find the mass of. So refer back to the equation given. As you can see, we have a 2:3 ratio, gold to chlorine. Use that ratio to calculate the moles of chlorine. Step 3, work out the mass of the substance you need to find the mass of. Mass equals MR times moles. The MR of chlorine is 71. Remember, Cl2 is 2 lots of 35.5, and then the moles of chlorine was calculated in the step before. That gives us an answer of 0.0946 grams. However, the question was looking for milligrams, so we've got to convert it by timesing by 1000. And there is our answer. In 4 steps, 94.6 milligrams. Looking at the GCSE mark scheme, 1 mark given for calculating the moles of gold, 1 mark has been given for calculating the moles of Cl2, 1 mark has been given for calculating the mass of Cl2 and giving an answer, and then the final mark has been given for converting grams into milligrams. 5 marks in 5 small steps. How did you do? So here's another question for you to look at. This time we're looking at reacting 0.120 grams of magnesium, and we're looking at calculating the mass of iron. Again, answer needs to be given in milligrams. Pause the video and see if you can answer this question yourself. Steps will be given to the answer when you unpause. Thank you. So again, always important that you keep referring back to the information provided, the equation, the masses, the relative atomic masses, and what they actually want you to calculate. So step 1, work out the moles of the substance you'd be given the mass of. So we've been given the mass of the magnesium, therefore I worked out the moles of magnesium. Step 2, work out the mole ratio and the moles of the substance you need to find the mass of. Okay. We are looking at 3 moles of magnesium to 2 moles of iron. Use that ratio to calculate the moles of iron. Step 3, work out the mass of the substance you need to find the mass of. Again, we're going to be using the equation mass equals Mr. Moles. So going back to the information, if you haven't been doing so, the relative atomic mass of iron is 56 times the number of moles, and we get an answer of 0.1866 grams. However, remember, looking at the information still, we're calculating the answer in milligrams, so we need to do a conversion. Times that by 1,000 and you have your answer. How did you do? Here's the GCSE mark scheme. Marks been given to find number of moles. Marks been given to find the mass of the iron and give an answer, and the final mark given for converting it into milligrams. Again, a 5-mark question. So here's your final practice. This time we're looking at calculating the mass of oxygen produced when 2,000 kilograms of aluminium oxide is completely electrolyzed. Pause the question and see if you can answer this for me. How did you do? Did you follow the steps as suggested? Remember, it's important to keep referring back to the information that is provided. Step 1, work out the moles of the substance you've been given the mass of. For this, it was important to convert kilograms into grams. We do this by multiplying by 1,000. Step 2, work out the mole ratio, the moles of the substance you need to find the mass of. For this, it was 2 lots of aluminium oxide to 3 lots of oxygen. 2 moles of aluminium oxide, 3 moles of oxygen. Times this by the 19,608 that you just calculated and left you with an answer of 29,412 mole. Step 3, work out the mass of the substance you need to find the mass of. Use the equation mass equals Mr. times moles. So that would be 32 for the O2, 2 lots of 16, times 29,412 mole. That gave us an answer of 941,184 grams. For this question, convert it back to kilograms, and that would provide you with an answer of 941. Here's the GCSE mark scheme. If you found an answer of 941 kilograms, that secured you 4 marks.